In this video, we're going to look at a complete overview of all the agency financials. We are going to get control of the agency financials, the really important numbers that run your business. So the question I have for you, how well do you understand your company's financials? In this video, we're going to highlight the risks and help you follow up on monthly reporting to get your ROI in a shorter span of time while effectively tracking the financial progress of your agency. As an agency owner, you can start finding out why, how, and what to measure. This is where agency profitability comes in. Agency profitability is basically the profit you generate per employee. For a service-based agency, it really is a heads or knowledge-based business. That's why we link the profitability of your agency to the number of employees that you have. So let's start first. Is your pricing right? Here are some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. This is an important part of when you're actually going out to sell, and then is your pricing right when you're actually servicing the business? So which markets are you actually targeting, and what's your share of that market? How do you package your services? Are you going retainer based or project based? And remember, the projects are actually what starts. Someone can sign up for a 12-month retainer, but unless the first 60, 90 days are getting the results, the retainer is earned. I've spoken about this a lot. So retainers, ongoing business, you might like to sell that in the beginning, but the reality is it's the first 2 to 3 months is when the client is going to evaluate you to work with you longer. Remember, pricing and volume are two key indicators here. Both involve strategic talks as well as practical and actionable things to go through. When you set up your agency, the entire cost structure differs depending on the number of employees you have on board. If you have 1 or 2 people working for you, or if you have 40 to 50 people working in your agency. In a following video, I'm actually going to go through how you're going to set up packages and pricing for your agencies. And we're going to come at 2 angles, one from the angle of you actually have customers already, and the other where you're actually building new packages or new services for your business. So let's look at all the areas that we're going to cover. We're going to look at variable versus fixed costs. We're going to look at software and a tools audit. We're going to talk about gross margin. We're going to look at your sales pipeline. We're going to look at agency profitability and sales forecasting. And we're going to look at determining the right volume. So we'll take these first 6 and actually look at these in a bit more detail. Variable versus fixed costs. At what point in time do you combine variable and fixed costs? Taking your staff early on is an expense to you, and you need to see if you have sales to cover that. So going forward, you might be able to employ and add overhead costs for running your agency. Overall, you can say that 2/3 of your costs should be related to employment, and the remaining 1/3 are for the other expenses relating to office setup, marketing, sales expenses, and some general administrative expenses. Most of these numbers relate to working effectively with your employees. So you need to ponder on these questions. Do you have the right people at the right place, in the right seat in your organization? What processes have you got in place? How do you onboard clients? Each process can actually showcase an element of your agency's finances. Basically, it all boils down to how you track time, how much is billable and how much is non-billable. It would also help to compare various agencies in your niche. What is the actual retainer size per client on average? What's the top 25 average size in retainer? of your agency. So if you go through all the retainers that you have in your business, look at the top 25 or the top 5 or the top 10, and we're going to go into are they profitable in the next video. What sort of ratio do you have between retainer-based revenue and hourly-based revenues like the projects, or even agile or performance-based revenue? Putting that into perspective, you will also learn how to understand the value of each of your clients. On a monthly basis, in terms of the gross income you generate and the overtime for the sales, how long will this client generate revenue for your agency? So on average, when you sign up a new client, maybe they start with a project, they go into a retainer. If you look back over the past few years, on average, how long do clients stay with you? Is it 10 months? Is it 15 months? How long is that period? This one is a real cornerstone of a digital marketing agency. So a number that you've got to get a real handle on is going to be your software and tools audit. Software in a digital marketing agency, they just keep building up and they can put pressure on your bottom line. You might have bought apps on your personal credit card. So you've got to look at everything. You've got to check, what am I paying for personally? What am I using on my phone? What are you using on your desktop, on your laptop? And at least once a year, in order to save money in your agency, take a look at the software platforms you're using for your clients and for yourself. It's an important process because the daily operations of your agency constantly exposes your employees to new software. There's always something new to look at and new shiny object. So the lack of a regular software audit and review can cause confusion among your employees. Now, I've included a template. There is a spreadsheet in this particular resource section, and all you have to do is download it. It's got some examples in there, and you just look at what particular software you're using. Is it a yearly license? Is it something monthly? And you'll need to get the whole agency to actually get involved with it. So go ahead and download the spreadsheet after this video, have a look at it, share it out with the team and get everyone to share. And you want them to share everything that you want to go, what apps do you use on your phone? And then sit down as a team and evaluate. Do we need the software? The costs will blow your mind when you just look at the software. And once you have that, that's an operating cost. And, you know, some of the software, it's going to be attributed to you running your business. Some of the software can be written off for the client. So you're going to actually put that attribute that to client revenue, you know, when that money comes in. So have a look at the template, get everyone involved, and then make some real hardcore decisions. I worked with an agency once, and when they did this exercise, they had 80 pieces of software. 80. The industry says that an average company has 18 pieces. So as digital marketing agencies and as aspirational entrepreneurs, we love trying new software. So we get really excited about new things. But these, you know, $9.99 a month, all those add up, and you will be surprised at the costs involved in your, when you look at your softwares and your tools audit. The next number to look at is going to be your gross margin. It's important because it reflects how well you deliver on your customers' promises that you made to them. That means you have to have good quality. You have to have sufficient pricing to support the results that the client services are targeting and the results that each customer project delivers to calibrate the rest of your agency's operations. We'll be covering a portion of this in the next few slides and videos, as ultimately all our templates will assist you in assessing your gross margin. Your next numbers that you need to know are your sales pipeline. And fortunately, there's a lot of really good tools out there, like there's a HubSpot CRM, there's loads of different types of software out there that can help you look at your sales pipeline every day. You can track the leads that are out there, and you need to look at these questions. You've got to understand the funnel and the timeline. What are the number of qualified leads? How do you get these leads? Do you have a salesperson going out doing talks? Do you have inbound marketing going on? Do you do direct mail? How do you get those leads in? And there's a cost associated with them. How many of those are referrals? Do other of your clients refer you to other customers that you can actually talk to? How many calls do you make every day? Can you do that on your own? How many meetings do you have to take? Do you have to meet with a prospect 2, 3 times? And what's the quality of those meetings? The next part is your cash position. Smaller agencies constantly struggle to grow and they take on more risks, and this puts them in a really tight cash position. Agency profitability and sales forecasting. To determine the key ratio of profit per employee, you need to start with the profit or revenue of the business, or the sales you manage to generate minus the costs. The fundamental concept here is to drive the sales up while keeping the costs low. If you look at your sales, you will realize that it is actually the component of 2 things: how we price the product and the number of products that we can sell. The product can be commodities like a blog or a landing page, or it could be retainer based, a number of blogs each month. The volume are retainers, the number of the blog posts you generate, or the number of hours delivered if it's retainer based. It's important to note the price is a mechanism itself. The more commodity based it is easier to see that the market price for this type of commodity. Your ability to charge a premium is really where you can start digging into the client and their specific challenges. This is what they need to accomplish in terms of their target. Maybe they need to get another $5 million out of their e-commerce site. How are you going to help them get that? As you go through their platform, check their site, identify things that you can do on their website. That knowledge is where the consulting comes in. You can then charge a premium. If you showcase the value for the client of how you actually are going to generate more sales, you're not promising sales, but that the work you're going to do is to increase their bottom line and their top line, that's where your expertise is going to come into play. The price is in the eye of the client and the value they perceive to be getting from it. The perceived value should equal the perceived price. It would look expensive if the perceived value is high. If you choose to deliver lower value services, you should also keep the price lower. We're going to walk through sales targeting, reporting, and forecasting so we can actually dig in and get these numbers right. Determining the right volume. You need to have a definition of what the actual market is. How much do they actually purchase of this type of service? Are you in content creation and you are actually providing blogs, articles? So when it comes to volume, you might want to consider the digital landscape of geographical, local content, language barriers, the types of services you're going to do, specific industries. When you define the volume, you need to define what is your actual market. How much do they actually purchase of this kind of service? Remember to deliver quality and value all the time. That's what you're being measured on, because that's what price and volume combined is. And this will drive sales and keep you moving forward. Now we look at the next 6 areas that are important for your agency financials: utilization rate, standardization, operating expenses, having a closer look at your employees, profitability by client and by resource planning to make sure that you are profitable, agency dashboard guidelines for your accountant. Utilization rate. What we mean by this is the number of hours that your staff are billable to your clients. We all know working in an agency, people have to take breaks. They're not robots. They actually have to have toilet breaks, lunch breaks. But in a digital marketing agency, they need to be on top of all of the new technology that's coming out. So you need to buffer in time for them to do that. So you need to understand, how do you work with the different projects? What competence and talents do your employees have? There is no point putting an employee, a junior one, on an experienced client. They're going to take twice as long to do a blog post than an experienced employee who can take half the time. Have you done a skills map? And if you haven't seen that, that's in the agency people part, where we actually walk through how to skill map your whole staff. And then what is the best way to utilize your resources? With the agencies that I work with, we aim for a utilization rate of 70% or above. That means that 70% of the time that they are working in your agency, they are billable out to the client. The other 30% is going to be for internal meetings, admin, breaks, and training. Standardization is so important in an agency. You cannot be reinventing the wheel over and over again. And this is obtained by using forms and templates, setting up a price list for your clients and an internal price list of the cost of delivering these services. You must have all your knowledge management in a place where everyone can find it. Striving for knowledge management in your agency is a huge plus. Consider these best practices: training, constant ongoing processes to improve, getting certifications, increasing the ability to do add-ons for sales and services. Next way you can improve the numbers are looking at subcontracting. Not everyone needs to be a full-time employee. Do you use a third-party service provider or freelance services as a means to subcontract? And you can bridge the gap in the beginning. You might have a client coming on, and in the beginning you could have a subcontractor. They work 10 hours a week, up to 20, and so on, until you need a full-time staff. The next area are operating expenses. Operating expenses are essentially the selling expenses and costs for general and office and admin. Determining the pricing, the volume, and the cost structure is easy as long as it is measured properly. It gives you an idea of what sort of profit you have now and what you can accomplish in the future. Taking a closer look at your employees. This is the next part of your equation. Should you go up in the number of employees? Should you go down? Should you keep it as it is? When you decide on this, keep in mind that the profit increases even more if you employ the right people. Utilization for projects is best done if you have a growth plan for employees who are headed in the same direction as the company. Competence, customer, and internal relations can be improved through training and recruitment plans. If you want leverage, consider whether you want to hire a senior person in your business. If you have junior or trainees, that's great too, but bear in mind their capabilities and how long it's going to take them to execute. A big thing to note as well is that agency culture, leadership, compensation, career paths are really important motivators for your employees. It's also really helpful if you can visualize profitability and create a compensation plan. And we'll talk through this later about explaining how your agency works, how when they see, a big retainer coming in for a client of 10 grand a month, where does that money actually go to? It's a really good thing to explain to your staff. Profitability by client and resource planning. And I go into this in good detail in one of the videos following, but let's have an overview here. Customer analysis is at play here. Determine the clients that you need to protect, the clients that pay the bills and that are keen to support you and your business going forward. Similarly, you're going to have to identify the clients you need to develop. These are clients that you've started providing services to, but are not yet yielding a lot of revenue. These clients may need a different approach, so you could consider addressing some parts of their business. Plot hours for resource planning. Do your skill map. Have you got the right people working with the right clients? Allocate time for training, for illnesses, for vacations, and for onboarding of your team members. There's a ramp up period every time you employ somebody new, and sometimes things happen. Life, family, they might need to take time off. Match your sales forecast to your needs of resources. Create a recruitment plan and follow up on actions. You should really be hiring somebody just before you need them, so that you can give them at least 4 to 6 weeks of ramp up time. You don't want to throw them straight in at the deep end working on a client. What is the ratio of your retainers over your projects? We work with a lot of agencies who are a lot of projects, and that's great as long as they're working and focusing on getting those into a retainer. So aiming for having retainers at 70% of your business and projects at 30% is a good number to keep a balance on. Pay close attention to utilization rates. More employees are investing in their training, so give your employees enough time to get certified. If they're certified, they're going to add more value to your clients. So thanks for looking at this video, which was an overview on agency financials. And now I'm going to take each of those templates and walk you through and dig into all of those areas so that you can actually do this yourself. You can download the templates and make them your own and then start working on them through each of the videos.